Dear Mama, I have no words for the Black Mama magic that you are about to experience. I have tried, I have searched the depths of my poetic soul, and I got nothing. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our guest and why we decided to have her on the show. Precious Bivings, affectionately known as Coach P, was my life coach. And about 2 years ago, I realized I wasn't enjoying my life. I was showing up every day. I was getting through, and I had moments of fulfillment, but I wasn't consistently fulfilled. And I wanted to transform my life. So Coach P helped me discover the tools that I needed to transform my life into the powerful, beautiful, transformative, creative experience that I wanted to have. So if you want to go higher, keep listening. If you want to be stretched, keep listening. And if you want to discover your power, we got you this episode. Thank you all so much for listening and sharing our last episode. Your support has been so inspirational, and we are immensely grateful. Our next few episodes are special. They were recorded prior to the hiatus, so the format will differ from the usual. We'll start with a short introduction and then jump right into the mac and cheese. So we're calling them our mac and cheese specials because they're absolutely delicious. And if you want to hear bonus content from this episode, check out our Patreon community at patreon.com/Dim Black Mamas. Speaking of Patreon, here are some other ways that you can support us and help us continue to be Black Mama built. So number 1, don't just listen, subscribe and leave a review. Number 2, share this episode with at least one person you feel can benefit from listening. Number 3, follow us and engage with us on social media, DM us, or email us at magic@dimblackmamas.com. Number 4, get on the mothership, which is our newsletter that drops in your box twice a month. And number 5, make a contribution by purchasing merch or give a one-time donation. For those links and all links mentioned in this episode, be sure to check out our show notes on our website, dimblackmamas.com. That's DEM blackmamas.com. When you invest in us, you're investing in a platform curated by 3 Black women actively cultivating spaces rooted in healing, creativity, and liberation for Black mamas. Now, let's get free, y'all, and jump into episode 41 of
Dim Black Mamas.
Get up, get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Ride. It's Dim Black Mamas Podcast, the greatest podcast on earth. #GPO. I am Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4.
And I am Thea Monnier, mother of 3.
And I am Nikisha Killings, also mother of 4.
And there's going to be a moment where Nikisha has to dip out because she's really important right now. You know, she getting her shine on.
She's
and
in
she had
these
to take-
streets.
She had to take some phone calls to probably tell some white people what they need to be doing. So she's going to dip out, but then she's going to come back. We have a fantastic show for you today. I'm so excited. Our guest is Precious Bivings, also known as Coach P. She is my life coach, and working with her has been transformative for me. And I'm positive the conversation that we're going to have is going to be expansive, transformative, and it may challenge
Maybe a
you
little
bit, but
uncomfortable,
that's-
a little bit.
It may be uncomfortable, but you have to ask yourself why. But that's what we do here at the greatest podcast on earth. That's what
We don't shy away from the
is-
tough conversations, let me tell you.
We do not. And so, you know, I know we probably lost a lot of saints, you know, so that is what it is.
Well, Coach P would say, you know, if God is all right with it, they're going to have to work out their feelings. We done all been coached.
You already got your quotes together.
I got hella quotes. You see me writing?
Oh, yeah. We recorded the mac and cheese segment early, so we've already heard Coach P. So we know what y'all in store for, which is a great transition into our mac and cheese segment. And it is good, cheesy, seasoned to perfection today.
It is.
Okay.
That's right.
is.
From the time I heard this woman's voice, I said, I think we's cousins. Now, that's not the bio, but I just thought I'd add that in there. Okay, so our guest today is Precious Bivings. Precious Bivings is an intuitive thought leader who helps high-performing leaders and public figures transform their mindset and reach personal fulfillment beyond the work they are known for. Affectionately known as Coach P, she's built a thriving brand as a coach and speaker that shows others how to make amazing shit happen.
You know, we love a good acronym.
We really, really do. It's like a high sign of intelligence and creativity. So to make amazing shit happen and experience complete alignment in every area of their lives. Coach P has established herself as the woman to see if you're ready to interrupt patterns of mediocrity and unlock new levels of self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and abundance. She's an accomplished author and sought-after speaker known for delivering high-impact and transformative presentations on stages across the country, including TEDx. The Coach P experience is rounded out with powerful live events such as the More Retreat and MashCon. To learn more about her work or invite her to speak at your next personal or professional development event, visit preciousbivings.com, and we'd love to welcome Precious Bivings to the show.
I just want to give a personal testimony. Anybody who's been listening to this podcast since we started knows that the key word for Crystal is resistance.
I would like to testify on back of Crystal's testimony as the friend who's helped through resistance that Coach P is the truth. Coach P did what I couldn't.
So much so to the point where I resisted healing for a lot of reasons. Like, I didn't think it would work for me. I thought I was smart enough to figure it out. And I got to a point where I was like, clearly my shit is not working. And so Thea asked me, if you could have a coach, who would you have? And I was like, oh, Precious. And she was like, why? I was like, because she scares the shit out of me. Because I cannot hide from Precious. The first call that we had, she was like, okay, so, tell me like where you are. And I was like, well, I'm going through a transition and I started out want to be an actress, but I really don't want to do that anymore. I want to be behind the camera. And she said, I call bullshit, but I'm gonna let you live. Go ahead. And I was like, is that bullshit? Oh shit, let me.
I don't know if I want to do this today.
Bullshit.
I don't know if I want to do this today.
Let me tell you. You know somebody is the real deal when you get mad at them and you like, they tell the truth, but you tell the truth and I need to hear the truth and I'm ready for the truth, but I'm just mad because you told me the truth. She told me the truth one time and I was at her house and I got mad at her, but I was like, damn, I'm staying here.
What am I supposed to do with that?
We're working on a project. What am I supposed to do with that? And she'll be like, I know you're pissed off.
Coaching is such a different thing. It's such a different thing.
Her favorite saying is, I mean, it's up to you. The gift is yours. And it's like, fuck, the gift is mine. Fuck.
It really feels like being in a mind puzzle. Like, it's like, I do the decolonizing mental health work that I've been telling people, like, I think you may need a coach. I've always felt like first attempts to decolonize mental health were coaching. It looked like coaching. It's either coaching or body work or a combination of the two, right? Because Black people, we talk, but we ain't trying to talk forever. Like, white people can do therapy for very long periods of time. We also like movement and we like for things to move and shift and change. And we have very passionate, engaged interaction. Coaching lends itself to that better than therapy in a lot of ways. And I've seen people who weren't responding to therapy respond to coaching. It is a different ballgame though. It's like you are really paying somebody to like read you. And then part of you be like, I ain't paying for this, but then I am paying for this. Let me think about this. It's a delicate thing because you have to have a lot of trust in the person coaching you. And a really good coach knows that is key and really prioritizes focusing on building that trust and building that relationship, because then you'll let them take you there, right? So we're going to dive in because I do think this is a great conversation. I think it trends with decolonizing mental health. And I think Black people should think of it as more of an option. I think I heard a stat that like, if you're getting coaching, you are ahead of like 90% of people. Like, and the people, the most successful people that you know of, even to this moment, have coaches. Like, they never stop having coaches. And so that says a lot about the power of that coaching relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk to the Coach P today.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here. Thank you,
We're
ladies, for having
excited.
me. Yeah.
We're excited.
Honored.
I have to know the person who got Crystal Irby to say, I'm working my step. What was that song you used to play? If I just trust.
If I trust and believe. It's a gospel song.
And obey. No, it was
If I trust
obey. If I
and
trust and obey.
Yes.
I said, oh, something is working.
Yeah.
Something is in the water. And what was in the water, y'all, was Coach P.
Yes.
So this is an honor for all of us. So,
my honor as well.
First question. Where were you 10 years ago? And did you think you'd be where you are now?
That's such a good, delicious, juicy, compact question. 10 years ago, I was 36. And I'm sorry, 10 years ago, I was 26.
I was about to say, wait a minute, pause. This whole show done changed. This whole fucking show just changed. It is now about skincare, bitch.
No, real talk.
It's about to be like,
y'all just don't know how transformational Coach P is. Let me tell you, I was helping her with a project and I was looking at a camera through her and I was like, you're a pescatarian, right? And she was like, yeah. I said, I'm about to be a pescatarian because your skin.
Now, mind you, who had been a pescatarian and she had not even given.
You were completely plant-based. She got that fish oil. Fish. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, you got to get them numbers right, though, Coach P. We will get distracted, and Nikisha is not here to get us right.
So 10 years ago, I was 26. And I was trying to figure out my life. I was trying to decide who I was, or trying to decide if I was going to acknowledge who I was fully. I feel like we always know. I believe we come here knowing, and then once we get here through the domestication process of family, belief systems, of society, that starts to chip away at what we know. And so I believe the journey is always getting back to that knowing, always. And so at 26, I had already been on my own since I was 14. So I was in this space where I was like, okay, shit, who am I? I was a mom to my daughter, and I absolutely knew I'd be here. I just didn't know how I would get here.
Ooh, the how. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was always the mystery for me. So I was always willing to survive my way through it. I knew I could do whatever it took to get through it. I just didn't know exactly what that looked like. But I definitely knew I would be here.
Can I ask how you surrendered to how? Because I think that's what a lot of people get stuck on, right? Like you said, we may intuitively know I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be here, right? But when we're not given the how immediately, we tend to just think of it as a fantasy or a dream or a far off thing. So how did you surrender to uncertainty, to the like, I don't know how, but I know it will happen?
Surrender is Coach P's favorite word.
Yeah.
And uncertainty is one of mine. So I mixed them. Did you say I brought them together?
I saw what you did.
I brought them together.
I saw what you did.
Yeah. So surrendering for me, it used to be a word that I threw up at the thought of. At 26, I was in this really weird place. I was moving from Fresno, California, back to South Carolina. And that whole season was about surrendering for me. What I held on to more than the how was the knowing that something more was on the other side of whatever I was experiencing. My health was flaring up. There was some talk about possibly having lupus. I developed a sun photosensitivity to the sun, and I was getting ready to transition back to South Carolina. The person who had sexually violated me as a child had reached out to me on Facebook. Wow. And I was pissed off at God. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't get on crack like my mama did. I got this corporate job. I'm at the top of my game. I did all of this with a GED. I was, you had to have a college degree to have all of these, to go through all these positions that I did. And yet, God, you let this person find me and reach out to me, like, what the fuck? And God was like, yeah, because check this out. There's some things that I have for you that you agreed to. And I need you to be completely clear. Like your heart is here, the shape of a heart. I need the dust at the bottom of the corner. I need all of you. And so, yes, you've done a lot to survive here, but it's time for you to thrive. Like at that point, with all those things going on, and my relationship was ending as well. So I wasn't sure what that was at. It was like, okay, I had no choice but to surrender, but to what? What was I surrendering to? And so from 2011 to about mid 2012, 2013, I took this really painful journey to surrender. And I remember moving to South Carolina and finally getting settled about 2012, 2013, found this church because at that time I thought, the way to get your life right is to go to church. I found this church where the pastor was actually teaching, and what you got, you could apply immediately. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And they were singing, I surrender all. And immediately I got frustrated. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And God was like, yeah. And I'd been partying and doing my thing and just.
Man, I bet you were fun to party with too, Coach P. I'm almost sad I missed that phase.
She's still in.
Okay.
Still a good
I was about to say, I'm almost sad I missed that phase.
She's
but
a
it's
good
still
time.
here. It's still
She's
here.
a good time. Yeah.
There, you ain't missed nothing, girl. We just getting started.
Yeah, that's it, girl. It's just there. It's there.
Yes.
Okay, so you found the place. They're teaching you. And from there.
But how did you get past the what the fuck is this? Because that would have been my reaction.
No, Christians be mad at Jesus. So here's the thing. I want to just point out where we are, because when Precious says I had no choice but to surrender, I could totally see why you're a great coach for Crystal. I'm always scared of getting to that point. And it's almost too much fear. The fear will keep me from fully, actualizing. But like, I'm always like, I don't want to learn the hard way. So my obedience doesn't come out of flow. It comes out of fear, right? Yeah. Whereas many people identify with, I'm on my last leg, like there's nowhere to go. I think so many people identify with that, but not until you just said it did I realize, I've been obedient a lot. I mean, that's been easy for me, but I do it out of fear, not out of flow. And a lot of people do get mad at God. I don't want to bypass that, right? Like we don't realize we're co-conspirators and co-creators of our life.
Yeah.
Right? And so we think everything's happening to us and not for us at that point, right? So how do you push through, not even push through, I guess you're saying you surrendered.
Not right away, though. It was like, what the fuck? And before surrendering, for me came trust. It was a matter of God saying to me, like me feeling internally and intuitively, like, I need you to trust. And I was like, God, trust what? I don't want to look like these folks in this church. The lady over here just gave a testimony talking about she 63. She'd been practicing celibacy for 40 years. Like that was some bullshit to me. I knew I didn't want that life. I saw this person over here talking about how they had come up on the rough side of the mountain and they finally got over. Like I knew what I saw. I had not seen who I wanted to be in this relationship with God evident in any church that I had ever attended. And at that point, all I knew was God via the church. And so being able to hear God say, no, I'm asking you to trust me, not trust this church, not trust these people. And I said, well, God, if I surrender, I want to be precious. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to fake. I don't want to force. I don't want to front. And God was like, and that's exactly who I need you to be. You got to be okay with how they feel about it. I'm good.
Right.
And so that was
pause. Is it a pause for the cause? Is it a pause?
It is, because I think this is just going to be one of them healing in real time episodes. We're going to do a lot of pausing. That piece about we came here exactly as who we are. And you talked about this, the domestication process takes us away from that. So many things takes us away from that, right? And really all God is trying to get us back to is to trust the way we were created when we came here and to be that unapologetically. And so think about all the things we do to try to change and fix ourselves from being that. Ooh, that's so much energy.
Yeah.
So it's not just trusting God, it's trusting that God didn't make no mistakes in the way that you were created, in the way that you came here. Ooh, I think that's powerful.
Yeah, because it's a matter of trusting that you and God have an understanding that because God has already fully accepted you, period, point blank. So you get to be who you are what was the place where I easily surrendered. It was like, oh, okay, I get to be who I am and you good, God? Game on, let's do this. And so for me, it was trusting that I could be myself, accepting that was good enough for me and for God. Now I fully surrender.
And that part about, and other people can feel how they feel about it. That's the other place I think we get stuck.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Right? Like When you say God said, they can feel
They can feel how they want to
how
feel.
they feel about it.
Absolutely. You got to be okay with that.
I think that's a struggle because people are worried about people liking them.
Yeah. I was in a meditation the other day, and what I heard was, you're not here. This is like a conversation between me and God, right? You're not here to keep checking back with me. Did I do it right, God? Am I doing it right, God? Am I doing it? You came here to create, do, and be. I said I would never leave you or forsake you. Go live, go experience, go create. Don't keep checking back with me saying, did you do it right? Did you do it right? I'm in you. We're not separate. I'm not out here somewhere. Go be, go do. I got you. It's all good.
It's all good. Ooh.
Don't keep checking back with me. I'm in you.
I'm in you.
But that part about not getting it right? Like checking to make sure we're doing it right. I was joking. I'd be meditating like, you ain't holding your fingers right. You ain't breathing right. I was doing that for like 2 weeks. And finally I was like, I laughed at myself like, what is right?
Yeah, you can't get it wrong.
Right, you can't get it wrong. Show up and be.
Yeah.
And that's your meditation. Oh, that's so powerful.
So a part of my resistance to coaching was as an artist, as an activist, I felt like they'll never talk about what's going on with Black people and racism. I felt like it was this sort of frou-frou thing that ignored the fact that I was Black.
Good question. That's
right?
A good question.
And so you're my coach and you always talk about this is an experience for us, by us. This is FUBU. So what is the relationship between personal development for Black people and freedom for Black people?
That's one of my favorite things to talk about. For me, it always has been and always will be about our worthiness. I believe that racism, in terms of white racism in America, is a white problem. I believe that our issue is not racism, our issue is worthiness. And I believe that when it comes to coaching and Black people, coaching, therapy, and any other healing modalities is our key to success. When I'm able to recognize that I have a sense of entitlement to be where I am and to be great from top to bottom, when I'm able to heal, not just from society, but from my family shit, when I'm able to interrupt, stop, end generational patterns, behaviors, and habits that are not in alignment with who I am at my core, coaching, therapy, and all other healing modalities aid in that process. And for Black people in this space and time, and always has been, but for sure now is necessary.
Yes.
Because then I'm able to, like I said to you, if you're an activist, right, if you're out here fighting on the front lines and you're saying I'm for Black people, then for you, there has to be some healing and some emotional maturity from the standpoint that you don't always see yourself as a victim so that you can get to the other side. Because if I always hold myself in this victim stance, no matter what the reality is, then I'll never be able to get to where I see us going. If I'm always saying we're always coming up on the rough side of the mountain and it's always them versus us, then I'll never be able to see my responsibility in owning the fact that I no longer reside in a place where people can come in and see me as a nobody. Do you know who the fuck I am? I'm entitled to be here. And because I've decided that energy when I walk in a building makes the white kids and grown white people recognize and not still overpower the sidewalk, because it's my motherfucking sidewalk too. Right. And my energy says it. My energy says it. More than anything, in coaching, healing, for me as a Black woman, that went hand in hand for me. That not only can my mother, who abandoned me and would hurt me because of her own hurts, no longer can she project that shit onto me. And no longer will I be in agreement with it from white people, Spanish people, Chinese people, I don't give a damn type people. It goes hand in hand for me. So that's the space that I say it holds.
First of all, Black people, we gotta get, wait. I told you, wait.
I done walked in on a whole sermon. Is that something up here?
That's just what didn't happen, Lakeisha. That's just what didn't happen.
Because she didn't bless
what she
life.
had said was Black people's problem is not racism.
It's
it is
worthiness.
Which I love, because racism may have been the vehicle through which we were separated from our sense of worth, but the issue still remaining is worthiness.
And I think even deeper than that, I think before racism was an issue, how we arrived to racism was worthiness. How we were able to sell ourselves. How I was able to sell somebody that looked like me in exchange for something else. That is worthiness.
Talk about it.
Of it, it's worthiness, because how do I exchange somebody who looks like me? Why do I sell myself to somebody else for anything?
For
whatever
anything.
reason.
For whatever reason.
I wasn't expecting it to be this tight as soon as I got in. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready. What? Well, maybe we were selling ourselves into what we were used to understanding as captivity, not this what we ended up selling ourselves into. We did that without full knowledge, right?
Look at Nikisha say, I'm trying to figure.
You know, I'm not trying to fix that, Nikisha.
I know you're not.
Selling
You
is selling.
Yeah. Okay, no, you're right.
A good friend of mine is a CEO of African Ancestry, and we have this conversation often. And
I'm waiting on my results. They should be in March.
Yes.
They should be in March. I'm very excited.
Shout out to Dr. Gina Page. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like, we still carry that sense of unworthiness, which is how we attract, and from my perspective, we attract these experiences. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't doing people shit, right?
Okay.
That people aren't being who they are. They definitely are being who they are, but I don't have to experience that shit.
Precious, let me ask you, do you find like through coaching, because you have a spiritual context, I also feel like any healing work, therapy, coaching, Reiki, whatever, for Black people, there has to be a spiritual component.
Yeah.
Even if we talk about the society that, so there's many factors to that, but also knowing that society had ritual, that from birth, you knew your purpose, like that people came around you in community multiple times throughout your life with ritual, with spirit, with nature to make sure you knew who the fuck you were. Right? Mm-hmm. This, I don't know who I am. This is white shit. Like we knew through ritual community who we were. And we were always reminded by that, even by our name. Like, our name told us what we do and what our purpose is. And so I don't find that healing modalities for Black people can work without a component to it that has a spiritual reattachment or a spiritual reintegration piece. Now, people can figure out what that looks like for themselves, right? But having this vast understanding of something or this way of pulling in information, like you were saying, through meditation or through a spiritual source, I found that to be essential. And I love the way you integrate it into your work because it's not, how do I say this so I don't?
Girl, this them Black mamas. You say it how you say it.
It's not the same. It's not church for church's sake, right? It's not. Before we called it this, it had this grand intention of relationship, right? Not just performance, right? So can you talk about that piece to your work and like how you found your way to weaving that into your work?
I didn't have to weave it in. It's always been for me. It's not, I've never been separate from it.
Right.
What has become more evident for me, and every day it becomes more evident, is who I am in God and who God is in me.
Say that.
Recognizing myself as God.
Yeah.
Me being able to pray, it's this thing like you can either pray to God or you can pray as God. And me being able to recognize that I get to pray as God because God is me and I am God, that prayer for me made it real that when I pray to God, I'm praying to something outside of me that's external, that is not connected. But when I pray as God, I am. Period.
Making the saints mad.
So.
The saints are upset.
The saints gonna be upset, but I think the saints stopped listening to us about mid last year. I think the saints stopped listening.
Crystal, that's a soundbite. Get that clip right there. That's it. That's
Can you share about that? Like praying as God, not praying to God.
Here's the thing, right? When we talk about white supremacy and Black people in America, you think about something like, and I'm going to circle back around to this whole praying as source. You think about the movie The Secret or the process The Secret. They've been doing this shit. It's like saying you don't cook with grapeseed oil because it's bad for you. Meanwhile, they like, y'all got the grapeseed oil, pour that shit in the mix. And so the same tools that they made taboo for us, they still use because the law didn't change.
Because the law is the law.
The law is the law. It doesn't matter who it is, and it rains on the just and the unjust. It doesn't matter. It's gravity. Right. So for me, it was actually a white man who I heard say that, who is Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about breaking the habit of being yourself. I had went to a 7-day retreat, but we were there for like 10 days. And when he said it, it rained on my soul. Like I had always known it, but like it was a song that I forgot that I knew. And it was a awakening. Like, oh, of course, this is a direct connection to who I am. And so for me, embodying that, and then I translated it and spoke it to a group full of Black women and Black men who definitely came from a background of church and this and that, and it was conviction for them. They was like, wait a minute, what the fuck you talking about, Coach P? This feels like taboo. Well, yeah, it does feel like taboo because it was taught and stripped from you to feel like if you ever come back to this, I want you to feel wrong about it.
Yes.
Even though it's so right.
It's
because
so
at
clear.
the end of the day, if God is in me and I am in God, that when I pray, I am not to pray like a dirty, filthy rag that God had to save a ranch like me. That ain't God. I don't identify as that. I am God. So then I have an expectation that when I say rain, it rains. That when I say, and the stars shine bright, they shine bright. And when I say that I am in abundance, when I say I'm whole and complete, that is for me. Now my mind, body, soul, and everything that's in this human reality need to catch up with what I already know, who I already be.
I got questions.
Okay, but that's what the Bible says. Jesus said, you will do greater works than me.
Tell the mountain to move and it will move.
It will move.
Jesus said it, folks.
The question is, where are the greater works? And I remember when you said that in the group, for me, I think I was talking to Thea and I said, I want to be so in alignment that the universe responds to me the way that it responded to the gods when they said, let there be light. God was so in alignment. The universe could not resist. Right?
But I got to know that I'm worthy.
You got to know that you're worthy, and praying as source. It goes back to what you and Thea were saying about being co-creators of your experience, that I'm not looking to you to say, am I doing this right? This is an experience that we're creating together. It's not, am I doing this right? It's what we doing next.
The way I do therapy is like a coach. I've gotten very clear about that over the last couple of years. It's like a coach and it's like a priestess, actually. But one thing I've realized is that coaching decolonizes.
Oh, yeah.
I think we need to understand that as Black people, because we think of coaching. I think most people think like wealth and think Tony Robbins and think.
No, Black people think Ayanna. That's somebody.
Black people do think Ayanna. Right. Okay.
Me too.
But what it really does is exactly what Coach P just said, is it works because it's giving you back. It's teaching you back that you had a right and access to these same laws that your people knew at a certain point. And that when you think about the slave Bible that was handed out, right? It's called the slave Bible because they tore out all the parts
about liberation
that told you were liberated, that told you were a powerful being. That is the text. And that is the belief. That is the part that we have been operating from ever since. We are still moving with the slave Bible as opposed to the fullness of the text, which is about Jesus came to teach you how to walk as a human and divine being. You chose to be human. You were so divine. You could actually choose it. You could actually say, I want to be this. You didn't have to, but you chose to do it. And then you get into the why you chose to do it, which is, I came to do some work. I came to do a thing. So if I don't align with the fact that I, as a divine being, chose to do this thing, I can never align with the work I came here to do. I go back and I realize I didn't do the shit I said I was going to go do. Let me go back down and try it again. And then we get into these life cycles, right? And so coaching really, I think, is, I don't know about what white people do with it, but I know for Black folks, it is so new to hear. One that I heard recently was that poverty is unnatural because God is abundant and nature is abundant. And so abundance is natural, not poverty. And so how many of us be walking around thinking it's normal to struggle? It's normal to not know where your next money is going to come, because what do we hear? Only 1% got this. Only 2% got this. We hear these percentages that they
lack and struggle has been normalized for sure. I got to ask my questions. I got to go back to the grapeseed oil. Coach, please.
Hey, Nikisha.
Nikisha is just now joining us. She came in a little bit late, y'all, to the mac and cheese segment. She had to get on an emergency call.
Pardon my tardiness. I put my church finger up when I came in. All right.
Yeah.
You did.
Coach, my question is, you talked about the grapeseed oil. They've been knowing about the grapeseed oil. They've been putting in their food, but I have trouble visualizing them as being more connected to spirit than we are. That doesn't compute for me. I don't understand. Is
Absolutely
it not consciously connected to spirit? This what we see as entitlement that they walk around with. Is that what you're saying, that
they're utilizing
So
these.
here are my thoughts. I absolutely do not believe they knew about the grapeseed oil and we didn't.
Okay.
I believe we all knew,
Uh-huh.
right? And when we think about the African American experience in terms of going from being free, kings, queens, whatever, to being enslaved by white America, what I believe is when that transition happened, that whole I want you to know grapeseed oil is bad. It was all good before we got over here. We've been doing it. We've been massaging our skin and face with it, drinking it, eating it, cooking with it. And then they was like, well, we got to make sure that they don't know that, because if they keep doing that, they're not going to be slaves forever. That's not going to make sense. We're not going to get 400 years.
I'm with it.
So then let me make sure you know that language that you speak is the devil. Let me let you know the way you move your body is the devil. Let me let you know that grapeseed oil that you cook with is wrong. But meanwhile, y'all over here like this, cooking with it, doing all the shit.
And then repackaging it and selling it back to us.
Y'all don't see the shimmy that the coach did. Y'all don't see that.
It was an amazing shimmy. Can I add a layer to this theory? I would like to add to this theory, if I may, Coach P. Here's my other theory. My theory is that they was in spaces with no grapeseed oil, really.
For sure.
Because it was cold and they were in their dark caves and ages and shit like that.
That's tracking more with where I was at.
And they got to a place where they saw folks greased up, hydrated, like floating. And when they tried to, if you didn't come from the cold caves of Europe to the sun-kissed shores of the motherland that you originated from, but we will go into that later. Then you're
on
like,
another episode.
What do they? Another episode. What do you have that we don't have? There's like evidence that there was trade and there was engagement before.
Sure.
But they got greedy and they got to the point where they decided, because they can't produce it, they can't generate the grapeseed.
Sure.
They can only maintain and control production of the grapeseed, right? So because they couldn't produce it, that made them somewhat dependent on the people that they were getting the grapeseed from. They don't like that position. And so instead of keeping the relationship,
because that makes us
they decide, right. Instead of keeping the relationship, they decided, well, what we gonna do is make the grapeseed oil for us. You're not allowed to use the grapeseed oil. And now they have sort of mastered a synthetic version of that grapeseed oil and shifted the value system of the whole West, right?
So the grapeseed oil was connectedness to spirit, was source, the knowingness that we are source.
So they've replaced that source with capitalism.
Right. There we go. Okay.
That's the value system shift, right? They've replaced the value system that we had and we were using to make that grapeseed oil with their own value system.
Perverted.
And convinced us
the Bible.
that is the value system. Like that is what we should all be aspiring to.
Here's where I think for me, Coach P, you really brought that home to me. So I thought that I was living free. Like, I had structured my life where I don't engage with white folks. So I thought that I was living free. And what you made me realize is that I had accepted struggle as a part of my narrative. Ooh. Because I was stuck in the story of, I'm a Black girl born and raised in the South.
Say it to the other part.
We all know the story.
We all know the story.
We know
raised by a single mother whose father abandoned her. A state where the stench of slavery still hovers
under the Confederate flag, of the blood
shadow of the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
That was my story. And I thought I was living free. What she made me realize is that I hung on to that story because I felt like if I showed people that I struggled, then when I became successful, they would deem me worthy of my success.
Right. Right.
Because you had some mess before you message.
And people would feel so much compassion for me that they would want to invest in my story. She made me realize how attached I was to struggle. I mean, I remember my brother used to tell me when I lived in LA, well, you ain't been homeless yet, so you're not going to make it.
Because we got the struggle Olympics in the Black families.
And we have the struggle Olympics as Black people.
Period.
That's where comparing struggles come from.
Yeah.
Like the Holocaust was only so long, but we went through this for this many years because we feel like there's not an abundance of compassion. And we feel like if we don't make people feel for us and know our struggle, then they will hurt us again. And the truth is, whether they know your struggle or not, they'll hurt you.
Yeah.
You really helped me break through that and realize, well, what I really want is for people to see my brilliance. That's the truth. Like, that's what I really want. I want people to see my work. But I'm doing the struggle thing because I feel like I'm not worthy enough
Okay.
to show my brilliance unless I've shown that I've struggled.
Exactly. I was going to say, one of the things that we were taught, back to the grapeseed oil analogy, for me, even outside of capitalism and all of that, those are, for me, are byproducts to what we experience as a result of, right? But if grapeseed oil is the direct connection to source, it's no different than if I come from a family that I'm a princess, right? My mama's a queen, my daddy's a king, and I marry somebody and they don't have any self-worth for real. And how they get their self-worth is by making someone else feel small, by bullying someone else into their way of thinking, believing, and knowing that's the only sense of control, only sense of worthiness. And they find me, and I got a little window that they were able to peek into, and I agreed with them. I made agreement with them that, I mean, I came from that, but I don't have to be that. I want to be more where you are. Right. Some agreement has to be made for us to be where we are. Right. Absolutely. I don't give a fuck what your situation is. We are always co-conspiring.
Yes.
You know what, Coach? I don't appreciate you bringing all this ownership
and accountability into this conversation.
That ain't what I come to church for. Right. It's happening right now.
But that's the thing, right? We have for so long been taught two things. You ain't good enough. Please tell me about your bootstrap, but also you're a victim. And this wasn't our fault. And they made us do this and blah, blah, blah. Here's what I like to say. I would like to say that in the context of the right people in the room where you can have that conversation safely, I think that we must consider our agreements. I think it's important for us to consider our agreements. We get caught in fault. This is about responsibility. I think that we have to have internal within our families, within our circles, within our friendships, within spaces where we are talking to us, that it's important for us to have conversation around responsibility. I don't give a fuck who fault it is. If I have a party and people come over and I already made the rules and they change the rules of my party in my house and some shit gets broken, I say, everybody dance like this. Dance in your circle. Don't come out your square. And somebody come out their square and they spill wine on my carpet, that's my carpet. It affects me. So it's my responsibility, no matter if it's not my fault. So if I choose, right, in agreement to be in any space and time, I'm co-conspiring. If I find myself in any situation, at some point there was a co-conspiring agreement, then that means that I have power and responsibility to make a difference. And to make a different one.
Take a step back to what we said earlier, right? That before we become human, we are divine. And so we knew the circumstances.
Oh God, you know, now this is where this is hard for me.
I've written about it because think about the divine being that chose to become human during a time of enslavement. They knew full knowledge. They knew full agreement. They knew full. Take them to the walk. They knew. And so in that, we can't rob them of the power. And I know this is hard because if we
I don't go to this church no more. I'm quitting.
If we don't think that divine being in all knowledge wrapped themselves in flesh, come here, that there's power in that choice. And there was also purpose, that they came to do a work in the midst of that time. And we know they did it because we are here, right? And so we lose all that. And I always tell people, you don't learn you have the power to create until you realize you have the power to destroy. It's like by realizing that I have done this thing, it can feel awful to feel like, this is the life I created and I can't blame nobody else for it. But in that moment, you regain authorship and power, because if you had the power to create that shit, now look what you could create intentionally.
Hey, I can dig it. I can dig that the choice was made before they showed up in human form, before that, they crossed over to this side. But I'm struggling with the choice to remain in that agreement for hundreds of years. I'm having trouble with that. Somebody
Their lives were about more than slavery. Slavery was an atmosphere that was ripe for many different forms of elevation. And let me tell you the evidence of that right now. We look at 2021 and 2020.
This conversation.
Who is uniquely equipped for this moment? The descendants of those who made the choice to come and learn who they were under extreme circumstances. So the people who can stand right now in full power, who are most equipped to do that, no matter what's happening, no matter what circumstances, no matter who's climbing walls, no matter any of that shit, are the descendants of the people who made those choices.
They didn't choose enslavement. They chose life. There's a scene in Lovecraft Country where the Tulsa riots is happening and Journey Smollett's character is standing there with her boyfriend's ancestor. And the ancestor listener says, we're going to die here. And she turns and runs out because she wants to try to save and change the moment. And Journey Smollett says, if you change this moment, my husband will not, the love of my life will not be born.
Yeah.
In that moment, I realized like she made a choice. And I'm not judging that at all. I'm not judging that as weak, strong, good, bad. She made a choice. And as a result of that choice, as a result of the choice of some woman who survived somehow on a slave ship and did not jump over, I am here. I am here. And so, as Thea says, my duty is to be free this lifetime.
I get that.
Because of the choice that she made. So if we take it out of the context of they chose slavery, no, they chose life.
So we're talking about two different choices here. We're talking about the choice to come into from spirit into flesh in this moment in time to have this experience, and then the choice to stay from the human side from the flesh side to stay in the experience for the generations to come.
For me, the conversation made me realize how much power I actually have.
Yeah. You got to get through it, though. You got to get through it. That's some tough stuff to get to.
Yeah, Nikisha, I agree. Yeah.
It's tough. And the other piece of that is when you are ready to walk in your God self, you have to be willing to shed the outfit. You have to be willing, like, what is my God self not Black? What is my God self not gendered? What is my God self not mothered? You have to be willing to take off the outfit.
Listen.
Because if not, you're not walking as your full, because God didn't create those things.
And you'll never be able to see yourself beyond.
Right.
Let me tell y'all, this is when Coach P and I had fell out and she didn't know it. Well, she knew it, but she just let me live.
Okay.
I was at her house and she was, she's like, well, who are you? And I was like, well, I'm a Black, I don't know. I just said I'm Black. So, I said, I'm a Black, powerful, transformative creative. And she said, what if you let go of Black? I said, bitch, you from Atlanta, Bankhead. What is you talking about? Let go of Black.
What you mean?
Do you know what's in your house? Right? In my mind, because with Coach P, like she can feel what you say anyway.
And I'm always okay with it. It's all right.
Yeah, her favorite saying, the gift is yours.
Well, she
and
just told you that God said, I got you. So let them feel
how they feel. But what it made me realize and examine was not only why was I holding on to Black, but how I was holding on to Black. I was holding on to Black as a culture of struggle.
That's the biggest part.
I use that as a synonym for struggle, not a synonym for power. Right? And what she said to me is people can experience you that way.
Yeah.
You can still do that work. But here's the other thing. What I said to myself was, that race is not real.
So what the fuck are you doing?
Right, there you go.
That's
and what the fuck are you agreeing to?
Exactly.
You are agreeing to the social construct. And so I had to release that.
Because it doesn't make it less reality because you stop agreeing with it. It just lessens the impact that it has on you. Now you can really help from a higher place.
Yes.
Say that again. That's a word right there. That's it.
I got a friend right now. We had a conversation around fertility. And she's like, I want you to come here and talk about this. I'm like, you sure they want to have this conversation? Because they were talking about fertility. She's married and everything is great. And she said, I'm struggling with fertility. And I was like, but that's not true. That's not your story. And she was like, well, yeah, because it hasn't happened. So fucking what? It hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Why would you create a whole entire community around being in alignment with it not fucking happening?
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you don't deserve support in it. Right. But having support as you get yourself there is much different than agreeing with hundreds of other people that, yeah, you're right. It's not happening for me. It's not happening for me. And now we all in agreement that
where
it's not
two
happening.
Or three agree, honey. Yeah.
And to add to that, like, again, the divine choice to be born into a body to have that experience was not for the purpose of limitation. It was for the purpose of that unique experience was supposed to give you a tool that would help you to finish the work you came here to do.
Yeah.
So me being born Black wasn't to learn struggle. If there was something about being born in this Black woman body that would give me a unique view of something that I'm supposed to expand to the universe, to the world. Understand, like, even the labels and the containers and the outfit, we chose the outfit to aid in the purpose, not to hinder it. Instead of saying, why, Lord, why was I born in this outfit? You need to say, when a superhero puts on the outfit, it comes with the shit, the holsters and
your job is to figure the fuck out what are my superpowers and how do I manage them?
That's
when
a
you
word.
choose not to make agreement, let's say example with the fertility story, when you choose not to make that agreement, right? Then you expand the ways in which that can happen for you. You surrender the how.
You do expand, because what does it mean to be fertile? Right. When you say I have a fertility issue, where, in what area? Right. Because now you're saying I don't make anything grow.
What are you not
That's
able
not
to give
true.
birth
Right.
to?
I don't birth anything.
Woo.
Right. In my whole existence.
Right.
Like that's the root of that word, is like, I am fertile.
I'm creative. I am constantly creating. Right. Yeah.
And accepting that has an impact on maternal health, because then Black people are not willing to go to have surrogates. Black people are not willing to see all the ways in which you can have a child. We limit ourselves in that, and then we judge ourselves because we can't do it the way
because we made agreement that if it doesn't come through this, then it's not legit. And that's absolutely not true.
Now you done messed up somebody else's experience because you were supposed to help them through, right? You were supposed to mother them through.
Well, the truth is, I believe that you don't mess up somebody else's experience. They're going to get what they're supposed to have.
They're going to get it.
But you missed out.
Yeah, you missed out on the opportunity to mother them through.
The gift is yours.
Thank you for that. An important distinction. Thank you for that. That is.
I'm gonna get mine. If you hit the snooze button, that's your fucking business. I'm gonna get mine.
And we've seen that. We've seen stuff be birthed that we slept on, right?
You know what I'm saying?
We'll come through another vessel.
I don't believe in that. Exactly. Don't let nobody cash your check. Let nobody cash your check. But I do remember, I remember this, I can't remember which Beyonce film it was. She said, I'm not gonna give y'all new notes because you ain't finished the old notes. We out here making new agreements, and we ain't followed through on the agreements we came here with. Those are the original agreements. And like Beyonce said, and this is what the universe says, I'm not giving you something new when you ain't even followed through on the agreements for why you came here.
And even deeper than that, I feel like because the universe is abundant and it's obedient, because we're God, I feel like it'll come. It's just gonna be the same shit over and over again.
Well, that's
you're gonna get more
and
of
you
the
won't
same.
Enjoy it, and it won't be satisfying.
More of the same. You get the lesson yet? Or you don't got more of the same? More. She asked for more of the same. More. Bring it in a light skinned man. Bring it in a white man. Oh, bring it in a little baby. Oh, bring it in a cat dog. You want it? Okay, more of the same. She got more of the same. Yeah, we go. Bring it in.
Some of our listeners are saying amen and throwing money at the phone right now.
Bring it in a light skinned man. That's quote of this episode.
Black dark chocolate man. Bring it
in every variety.
Same experience, different brother, every time.
Yeah. I don't care who I'm coaching. I feel responsible to call us higher. I had a pastor who was referred to me by another pastor. These are two men. And one of the pastors came in and he's like, this is going on in my life. And I asked him a simple question. I said, do you trust God? And before you answer, I want you to think about it. Do you trust God? Oh, absolutely. Positively. I looked at him and I said, bullshit. And his face was like, who do you think you're talking to? I said, it's complete bullshit. The evidence of your life does not reflect that you trust God. And when we consider who we say we are or what we say we want, there should be evidence. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about how you move, the energy that precedes you before you ever even occupy a space. And so when you consider this life and the choices that we get to make, I want to be responsible for me. I don't want to relinquish my responsibility to religion, a pastor, a therapist, a coach, a dog, a frog. I don't want to release my shit to no one else. I came here specifically to be responsible.
To hold this.
I own this shit. So that if you forget or if you don't believe that you're worthy, so you can't pass that shit on to me, I don't miss the mark because I already know what time it is with me. And for me, that's like important. That's like numero uno.
Yeah, no, listen, that piece about trusting God, I feel like going back to God's self, right? That praying as God, not praying to God.
Yeah.
The difficulty with trusting God is the difficulty with trusting yourself.
Period.
That's it.
All day.
And all back to worthiness. All roads lead back to worthiness.
Your worth is to doubt the worth of God.
Period.
So I did a recent recording with Dr. Crystal Jones, who does breath work. And she said, your relationship with your breath will tell you everything about your relationship with other people and yourself. And you think about it, your breath, you take it for granted. You don't stop and check in. You assume it's always going to be there. This is like literally how we act with all our relationships with each other, with God, with spirit. It's just always going to be there at our disposal. We're just real reckless with it, real like loose with it. And that's why we don't have a trust, because there's no like relationship. But if you really begin to trust yourself, it's so much easier to trust God. You can't see those things as separate.
I think that if you don't trust God, then you don't trust yourself. For me, the same thing held true for anger. When I was mad at God, I was really mad at myself.
Mad at yourself. Woo.
Because I had made some agreements. I had thought that I should have known better. I should be further than where I was. And it was a lot of judgment of myself.
I find that fascinating. Being angry at God is a real, that even in itself is in juxtaposition to what we're taught to be the relationship with God. Like I would never dare say I was angry at God. Who am I to be angry like that? Even that lack of worthiness, but you had the experience from a different perspective. And I think that's really interesting. Neither are right.
She asked me that. She was like, are you mad at God? And I was like, yeah. And she said, well, most people who are mad at God are really mad at themselves. And I was like, ooh.
I warmed it up for you, Coach P. I warmed it up.
Yes.
A month later, I started working with you, but I had to have that honest moment to say that, I'm mad and that I didn't like my life.
Sure.
And I felt like I was supposed to like my life because I had all the things.
Right. Oof.
I didn't have to interact with white people unless I wanted to. I got the husband, I got the kids, I got the house, the land, and still I wasn't satisfied with my life. I used to always wonder how people achieve their dreams and then they crashed and burned or they weren't happy. And I don't judge that, but I didn't want that to be my experience. Sure. And so more than having a coach that showed me how to generate income, I wanted a coach that showed me how to craft the life experience that I wanted to have. And the byproduct of that, is abundance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's definitely been a part of the journey in which I teach from, because one of the things I said the other day, I remember feeling like looking at all my folks that I, grew up with or doing life with. And I'm like, God, why is it so hard for me? Why do I have to go I feel like I'm going the scenic route and everybody else is getting it fast. And God is like, listen, because you decided that you didn't want any shortcuts. You decided that you wanted to get it from top to bottom and you wanted to keep going to the top so that when I grow, my bottom rises with me and I'm not here and I'm have this heart, but I'm here. My bottom becomes my top. When any shit hit the fan, where I fall to is where I used to be in the first place. Where I fall to is where I prayed to be once before. So there is no real fall. I cannot get it wrong. I've decided to go from precept, glory to glory. I get to keep going higher.
Let me tell you something. What you're going to do, Precious, what you're going to do, Coach P, is get out of my goddamn mind. Let me tell you my visualization this morning. Well, I was like, why do you always come here to this space in your visualization? I always go to this land. Very expansive land, very green land. I love it. It's like my favorite place to go to and be. And I said, I think it's because here, it all feels like it's a part of me. Like I think all of this is me. Like I said, I feel like the heartbeat of this land. Like I'm the heartbeat of it. And she said, but that implies that there's other places you don't feel that way. And that's not acceptable. You have to be able to leave, no matter how big or vast this land, you need to be able to go to anywhere. What does it feel like for you to say, I'm the heartbeat of this earth? What does it feel like for you to be able to say, saying my name is medicine, hearing my voice is medicine, and she just took me through this moment where I could expand. So today I could see myself meditating. I could see myself watching myself. I could see myself watching myself. I could see myself watching myself. I could see to infinite. When you said the part about I can never go lower than the last place I've been, for each place, it's a bliss tolerance thing too, right?
Exactly.
That worthiness is a bliss tolerance thing, right? So it's like
Talk.
just when I think I'm imagining myself at my highest.
Yeah.
What does it look like to imagine myself seeing myself at my highest?
Ooh.
Exactly.
I'm higher than I am. And then what does it do it again and do it again and do it again?
Exactly.
And it's infinite. It's infinite, right?
Yes.
I don't know, Crystal, what the fuck you want me to do with these questions on this outline, but we have completely not done this shit today.
I don't.
Not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Spirit has actually said, "Fuck our outline," because that is like that piece again requires shedding the outfit.
I do want to ask you though, what impact has coaching had on your motherhood?
Motherhood had an impact on coaching before coaching had an impact on motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before coming here, I obviously decided to occupy both roles and responsibilities. I want to take a step back and talk about purpose before I talk about how my motherhood has influenced coaching, and then how who I be as a coach made me an even better mother. Purpose for me is not ever what you do, but it's who you be, right? Purpose isn't being a pastor or a scientist or a lawyer or a mother or a father. Those are roles and responsibilities with expiration dates. And they change and they shift, right? And so recognizing that as a mom, my daughter came to show me. She came to show me myself and show me areas in which I needed to expand and go higher. As a coach, again, that's just an outfit, but in the hearts of hearts, I am God. I am an intuitive. I am a guide for people who I get to co-create with along the journey. And so for me, as a mother, it's taught me that one, she does not belong to me.
Oh yeah.
That her
We've had that
successes,
talk.
her successes are not mine. Her failures aren't mine. And her journey isn't mine.
Crystal,
And
you taught me that.
The only thing I get to do is guide, right? I get to suggest. I get to be example. I get to
model,
be present. I get to
witness.
Exactly, witness. But I don't get to make. Because even her existence wasn't mine alone.
Or interfere.
Right. And so as a mom, that has been my greatest experience of surrendering, is being a mother. Surrendering the idea that I am not in control, and nor is it best that I be. I don't give a fuck how much I know. I don't care how long that I've been here before. It consistently puts me, when we think about feminine and masculine energy, when I am in my mother role, for these last 17 years, I've operated in my masculine energy. Even as a woman mom, I've operated in my masculine energy because I'm protecting, I'm making it happen, I'm doing all the things. And when she decided to show up and be her own person, like, girl, thank you, but I'm good, I got this at 16, it automatically put me in a feminine role. Like, let me receive this shit, because what the fuck going on? I wasn't expecting for her to be ready at 16, but she was. And so it immediately put me in this feminine energy where I had to receive and allow versus control, make happen, do and be. So as a coach, you know, it definitely mothering influence, not being attached to the results of my clients. That the gift is yours. Do what the fuck you will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My job is only here.
I need me a
guide.
cool saying like that.
You know what?
I'm going to think about it. That's a t-shirt, Coach P.
It's a thing that I say to my clients, but it's also the same thing when I say, you know, be well with yourself. Like I can't be bothered with or get caught up in or get entangled with some shit that I can't control.
Oh yeah, I say find your joy. Go on, go find your joy. Go
So
find your joy.
this is reminding me of a conversation I had with a dear friend, and she went to an intuitive, and she was told she was having some struggles with her family, and she was told that her son was a much older soul than she, and that she needed to listen because he had much to teach, and that changed her world.
Yeah.
Really shifted the way she parented, the way she mothers, the way she engages with him, because now she can value his wisdom on a soul level, right? In a way that like, you don't know, what do you know? You haven't been out there yet. Now she can say, what do you think about this? And really value that in a way that was never possible before. So thank you for illuminating that. That's a reminder.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
We act like our children have no wisdom, like they're not here to teach us something.
Yeah, and I would not have been able to accept that gift of being in my feminine energy when it came to my daughter and being willing to receive had it not been for doing the work. I had to get beyond myself and know that I was worthy of sitting in this seat to receive it. Because as a parent, we're taught from a very egotistical place that it's yours, it's your responsibility, it's your success, it's your failure, it's all this other shit that has nothing to do with nothing. And we miss the soul level relationship. If my daughter agreed to come as a daughter to me only to teach me some shit, that's a gift. But I'll miss it if I'm stuck in my humaning and I got to see it the way society sees it. That's a complete miss for me. But it also taught me the importance of surrendering role. If I'm able to look at my mother as a woman and not as my mother, then I have a greater opportunity to heal from the wounds that I experienced from her mothering. If I'm able to see my daughter as a soul and not as my daughter, then I'm able to receive wisdom from her that I wouldn't ordinarily have been able to receive based on the blindness of this hierarchy.
That was a game changer for me in healing my relationship with my father, is not seeing him as a father who I had certain expectations of, that the world told me this is who this man should be, but to see him as a human, as a man, having his own experience that didn't have anything to do with me, impacted me, but didn't have anything to do with me.
It wasn't personal.
And the person who showed me that was my daughter. And my mom used to always say to me when my father would do stuff like, it's not about you. I know it hurts, but if I can just get you to see it's not about you. And my daughter was having some issues. And I remember saying to her, that ain't about you though. And I heard my mother's voice, but I had to be able to see that in that moment, my daughter was teaching me something because she was very angry. And I had to, in that moment, when she was just asking why, I had to be able to see my own reflection so that I could learn in that moment what my mom had been trying to teach me for 30 years. That's when the shift in my parenting came, that, oh, this is a relationship. This is an experience that we are both learning and witnessing in.
I have to acknowledge here. We talk a lot about Dr. DeGruy and her story, post-traumatic slave syndrome, and how so much of what's been passed down to us impacts the way that we parent. We're talking about, trying to control the movements of our children, and it's rooted in some old trying to protect them and try not to let too much light shine on them, bring too much attention to them, because it puts them in harm's way. So many of our listeners are in that place still and can't quite see what we're talking about here. It's a journey. I just want to acknowledge that if this all seems like, what are they talking about?
That's also what we tag in Akilah S. Richards. We always talk about fear of the free child. And the quote that always stands, before I'm done, I'll be completely tattooed in quotes, but it's that my children are sovereign territories, and if I am not careful, I will colonize them. That's the quote that really brought me back to a space of like, oh, I never want to do to my children the thing that I feel harmed so many groups, right? Like I would never want, and that's very, very possible. Also, when we take away those roles, we let them care for us. We think that our role is to always care for them, but I have been cared for so many times by my babies. And in a way that I would not have normally allowed, because I thought, oh no, I'm supposed to be the one to take care of you. Who knows what the agreement was? They might have seen me come and be like, wait a minute, that bitch needs some help. Hold on, let me strap her on the skin. She done already forgot half the lessons. Hold on, hold tight. I'm coming in.
True.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, really, when we think about it, a lot of them come. And again, we always talk about how they change our lives. Like that was by mistake. They was watching the whole time, witnessing the whole time. And they came by choice to do something, not necessarily for us, but we can allow that. We can allow ourselves, like you said, to enjoy the gift of that and the care sometimes. And when my kids bring me food, listen, when they cook, I be like, listen, you don't know how much mommy loves somebody bringing her a plate. You know what I'm saying? Like care, right? That if I'm like, oh, I'm the mom, I should be doing the cooking. I should be doing it, then I would lose out on that sweet, sweet moment, of them giving something to me, which is also a blessing.
So I wanted to ask you about 2 healing or self-care practices that have had the most impact on your life.
Therapy and coaching. I'm one of those people. I do all the things. I got the entire God collective behind me. I get readings, Reiki, therapy, coaching, music, any type of healing modality that can work, I've tried, and it has worked for me. I think it's important for us to have safe space. And by safe space, I just mean a space where you can go and say what your gut wrenching truth is. Because once I'm able to acknowledge that in itself gives me power. So on a day-to-day, say you don't have access, or let me just reframe this. Say you don't believe you're worthy of having access to therapy or coaching, right? Say you haven't gotten to a place yet where you believe that that's a part of what you have access to. Journaling has been a day-to-day connection with my divine self, a space where I can unpack, where I can say what needs to be said. Meditation is one of those ways. And then music. Music is so vibrationally connected to who we be, just on a very regular level. Selecting certain music changes my vibration, changes what I do for the day, changes how I move. And so I make it an intentional habit to do so. For me and my personality, creating ritual is important. Being able to have a safe space, no matter where I am in the world, that when I wake up in the morning, this is what I do. This is how I get back to myself from coming from this other consciousness. That's been important for me also.
Well, thank you, Coach B. You have deeply, deeply impacted my life. When I started working with you, I couldn't even visualize my future. People would say, oh, meditate, see your future. I just could not see it. And I've had a tremendous breakthrough in that. And it's just been so transformational working with you.
I do want to say this. I am deeply appreciative and grateful for being a part of your journey. I'm also just deeply appreciative and grateful for being in a space with y'all and for being able to recognize who I am. I think it's important for us to, as a collective, recognize that when we do the work, I told my mom, who will be celebrating 10 years from being clean of drugs and alcohol in March, I said to her, I said, if you just work on you, we don't need you to do anything for us.
That's absolutely true.
Just do your work. You doing your work makes life better for everybody.
True. Facts.
I mean, you get better orgasms when you do your work.
Yes, you do.
Your skin's brighter. Your eyes are whiter. Your waist is snatched more. Like everything goes into alignment. Your booty sits up higher when you do your work.
If that ain't reason enough, I don't know what is.
Can I get that clip? Your booty sits up higher.
That's the ultimate incentive right there. That's all you have to say.
Get everything you want. If I can impress upon the audience more than anything, take the journey. Even if you don't complete it in this lifetime, take the journey.
Start it.
Like aligning with your worthiness, agreeing. Just agree. Just simply agree that I am worthy just because I exist. I don't give a damn about no degrees, who you married to, how much money you got in the bank, mistakes you made in the past, what you consider mistakes, actions that you've taken, because none of this shit really matters. None of it matters. But being willing to recognize that you are worthy, if you do nothing else, that's the game changer, because everything else is created through that lens. That when I believe that I'm worthy, the way that I walk different, the way that I talk is different, the food that I choose to eat is different, the water that I drink. When I think I'm worthy with tap water, y'all have alkaline?
Right.
pH balance. I'm worthy.
Of being balanced.
Yeah. Like, everything that I do.
I'm about to go mattress shopping because I'm worthy.
Exactly.
And this shit is not giving me the best sleep. So I'm about to get one of them purple joints.
Oh, purple.
Listen, because you're worthy of rest. And even that for me was a game changer. Recognizing that I'm worthy to rest as a Black woman. You couldn't even take naps in my grandma's house. You ain't worked hard enough to take no nap. So being able to recognize that I'm worthy and that things like money are my partners in success, and they're tools to be used by me, recognizing that my worthiness is not tied to who I present to be, but that my worthiness is just because I exist.
Yeah.
And so if no one ever hears my voice again, if this is the last thing I ever say, I want you to know that you're worthy, and your beauty and your weight and your size and your relationships and your health is all dependent on your belief, your core belief of just knowing that. You'll get out of your own way and you'll stop self-sabotaging.
Get out of your own flow.
Get out of it. And you'll recognize it. And everything that you've been fasting, praying, and begging for will just be a matter of speaking. I posted something the other day that said, ask for what you want and then allow yourself to receive it. Because we think that asking is our only responsibility.
Right.
And that the waiting is the next thing we do. But no, it's the asking, and then it's you allowing. And the allowance comes from your worthiness.
All roads lead to worthiness. It is truth.
I heard a therapist on a podcast. They were like, well, what's the best way to choose a therapist? I'm going to give you the coach version of this, right? I believe the best way to choose a coach, if you're considering working with somebody, is one, getting clear about what you need. Getting clear about what you need. What do you want? And if that's too far for you, if you feel like, well, Coach Misha, I don't even know. I just know I need to get out of where I am. Then now look at the life. Look at what you see in the people that you're considering. Look at how they be. Look at how they move, right? You're not judging them. You just want to make sure that what you want resides in that space. Because maybe what you want and what they have, you're not ready for. And then you get upset because you don't get the results that you want because you weren't yet ready for it. This is in business coaching. This is in life coaching. This is in healing coaching. This is in whatever. I don't give a damn if it's Reiki, right? I won't even let a massage therapist touch me if her energy ain't right. If I get up in there and she angry,
absolutely not.
Hey, put your hands on me, right? And so it's the same thing when it comes.
You ain't got no alkaline therapy.
Right.
You got no alkaline.
Exactly.
Alkaline before you massage me. I'm worthy.
Yeah.
I'm worthy.
Yeah. And so, the same way when it comes to picking a coach, like and I shouldn't say make sure because that's a bit heavy, but just be mindful. Just be mindful of what it is that you need. And also remember that no matter if it's a coach, therapist, pastor, I don't give a damn what position the person takes. They're just there as a guide. The work is yours.
Yes.
I love this. Y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all.
So
thank you.
You guys know that I appreciate y'all for holding space for Black women. I appreciate y'all for existing. I think this podcast is absolutely amazing, and it allows for us to see ourselves, and it allows for us to see our possibilities. So thank y'all for saying yes and for showing up in this space like only y'all can. It's a beautiful experience.
Thank you. Thank you for expanding us.
Yeah.
This was definitely an expansive conversation. So thank you.
I think it will be repeatedly as people listen back. As we listen back, I think we'll continue to expand. So thank you for the words that are not just one and done. But
thank you. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Listen, y'all, I was late to church, but I made the altar call, honey. I made it.
You did make the altar call.
You did, boo.
All right, Black people, that's all we got. The mothership has landed, and we want to know your thoughts about this ride. Remember, Dim Black Mamas is a conversation, so please speak back to us. We want to know your thoughts, feelings, and or questions. So DM us, leave comments on social or on SoundCloud, or email us at magic@dimblackmamas.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow our guest, Precious Bivings, on IG at Hello Precious Monique, and check out the first episode of her docuseries, Becoming Precious Somewhere in Bali, on Facebook or YouTube at Precious Bivings. You can also check out her Patreon community at patreon.com/Becoming Precious. Those links and any other links mentioned in this episode will be in our show notes on our website at dimblackmamas.com. That's DEM blackmamas.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. And remember to check out our Patreon community for bonus content from this episode at patreon.com/Magic. www.dim Black Mamas. The mothership takes off again on Friday, April 1st. And until then, we wish you fun and expansion. And Nikisha still hasn't found her word. Namaste, namaste.